Good morning, everybody. Okay, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sharing my screen with you so we can go ahead and check our homework together. So our homework was about Uncle Toby's house. So we had to read a story about Uncle Toby's house, and then we had to make some inferences or draw some conclusions based on this story. So can you please help me read this story? Can someone read from on until Toby?
On and on they rode in the car until, after a while, they reached the small city of Pocono. A little later, they pulled up in front of Uncle Toby's house. It was a rambling old mansion that once had looked very nice, but now it was rather shabby and needed painting. Here's where Uncle Toby lives, said Daddy Martin. Do you children remember it? A little, admitted Ted. Neither he nor Janet had been there in years, and Tommy had never visited Uncle Toby.
Very
I
good.
wonder
Thanks.
if he...
That's okay, Winter, just from there. And then I would like Rosie to take over. Rosie, can you read the rest of it, please?
I wonder if he's at home, went on Daddy Martin as he got out of the car. There's someone on the porch, said Miss Martin. Oh, it is Miss Watson, the housekeeper, she added. But something seems to be matter. I wonder what can have happened. As Mother Martin spoke, a string of ladies came down off the broken porch and along the walk, hurrying out to meet the family at the front gate. Wait, don't go in, don't go in, cried the strange old lady, holding up her hand like a traffic policeman stopping a fast car. Don't go in. They're having a terrible time. As she spoke, odd sounds came out of the grim old house where Uncle Toby lived. Very old sounds.
Very good. Ooh, so a bit of a mystery here. All right, guys, have a look at these questions. Number one, why was the strange old lady holding up her hand? To wave hello to the family, to stop them from going further, to give someone a high five, or to show how tall someone was? Kimmy, what do you think?
I think it is B, to stop them from going further.
Good girl, Kimmy. The answer was B, to stop them from going any further and to like halt them in their tracks. Number two, give two facts from the text which imply that Mr. Toby's house was run down. What do you think? What are some facts from the text that let you know that his house is run down? It's a bit shabby, it's not very nice. Lily, what do you think?
From the things I say that it was a rambling old mansion.
Yeah, absolutely. You could say a rambling old mansion. Sure. So you could have this. It was a rambling old mansion. Good job. Any other facts that we could get from the text, guys? Han, what do you think?
As she spoke, odd sounds came from the grim old house.
Good
I
job.
think
Well
that
done.
was like a grim
Grim
old
old
house.
house. Yes, it lets us know it's a grim old house. So that lets us know it's not very nice. Good job. Well done. So there are two facts that we could take. Have a look at the facts that I've decided to choose. So Um, one is it was shabby. Another one that you could have is that it needed painted. Next is the porch was broken, or you could have it was a grim old house. So I actually gave four facts. It was shabby and it needed painted. The porch was broken and it was a grim old house. Okay, moving on to the next part. What do you think might have been happening inside Uncle Toby's house? So let's all share our ideas together. I'll go ahead and give you my idea first, then we can talk about what you guys have written down. So I think that Uncle Toby might have been trying to catch a stray animal that got into their house. So I'm thinking maybe a fox or a badger or some rats have gotten into Uncle Toby's house and they're causing havoc in there. What did you guys come up with? What ideas would you like to share with the class? Trixie, what do you think?
He could be inventing something that made weird sounds, and just like I wrote in my homework, could be an alien invasion.
An alien invasion. Yeah, very good. Well done, Trixie. So I really like Trixie's ideas. So she said that had a similar one to me, that there was an animal invasion. So maybe a stray animal was in the house. I really loved your mad inventor idea, that maybe Uncle Toby had turned into a mad scientist who was creating very strange things in his home. And finally, there could have been an alien invasion in there. Really, really, really creative. Well done, Trixie. Okay, moving on then. So have a look. Put ticks in the table to show which sentences are true and which are false. The first one has been done for you. Uncle Toby's house had looked nicer in the past. Okay, so let's go and have a look at the first one. It had been a long journey to Uncle Toby's house. True or false? Does the text imply this? What do you think, Steve?
I think that is true.
True, good job. It does imply that this was a long journey to Uncle Toby's house. Good job. Okay, next. The family had arrived at the city of Pocono quickly.
The family had arrived at the city of Pocono quickly. It is false.
Good job. It is false. It implies that the journey took a long time. Okay, next. Ted and Janet didn't remember Uncle Toby's house clearly. Hacker, what do you think about that one?
Remember, Uncle Toby's house is false.
Good job. Ted and Janet didn't remember Uncle Toby's house clearly is false. So you're saying that Ted and Janet did remember his house clearly?
Yes.
So not quite. They hadn't been there in a very long time. So actually the answer I'm looking for here is true. Ted and Janet didn't remember Uncle Toby's house clearly. They hadn't been there in a very long time. And partly a part of the text that shows us this is this part. Here is where Uncle Toby lives, said Daddy Martin. Do you children remember it? A little, admitted Ted. Neither he nor Janet had been there in years, and Tommy had never visited Uncle Toby. So the fact that he's saying a little is letting me know that he doesn't clearly remember the house. He isn't saying, oh yes, I remember the garden and I remember this. He's just saying, oh, a little bit, but he doesn't clearly remember. Okay, so the answer is true for that one. And finally, something unusual was going on at Uncle Toby's house. Katie.
I think it is true.
Okay, good job. Well done. It is true. Something unusual was going on at Uncle Toby's house, and this is implied in the text. There are many clues that let us know that lots of strange things were going on, such as strange sounds coming from the house, and seeing the housekeeper outside and saying there's a terrible mess in there. All of these things let us know that something strange was going on inside Uncle Toby's house. Okay, guys, so today what we're going to do, today and tomorrow, we're going to spend the next lessons at reviewing the test that you did. So in our test, this was definitely not our best test. There were quite a lot of questions that quite a few of us got wrong. So let's go through them and see as many as we get done today. And then the rest of tomorrow will be spent going through the rest of the test and through your writing. So let's have a look. So this question says, the crowd was composed mostly of young boys and girls, and everyone was discussing Miss Black and their favorite books. What does the word composed mean in the sentence? Sat in order, waited quietly, made up of, or listened carefully. What do we think? Pat, what do you think?
I think it is made out of.
Correct. Well done, Pat. Pat, can you tell me how you got this answer?
Because it was a crowd made up of mostly boys and girls.
Good job.
The word would make sense when you replace it.
Good job. Well done. If you replace composed with made up of, the sentence still makes sense. The crowd was made up of mostly of young boys and girls, and everyone was discussing Miss Black and their favorite books. So it wasn't that they were sat in order. It wasn't that they were waiting quietly, and it wasn't that they were listening carefully. The word composed means made up of. For example, you could say this book is composed of mostly chapters about tigers, or this book is composed of 15 chapters, or you could say this candy box is composed of mainly chocolates. So composed means made up of, or what is inside. Good job, Pat. Okay, next, number 6. The crowd applauded again and then settled in to listen to Miss Black read from her latest book. What does the word latest mean in the sentence above? Oldest, longest, most recent, and most famous. Now, again, this one threw people off because there is an answer in here that is kind of confusing when you're thinking of context clues. So we should have looked at the word itself and broken it down into the root word. Now, who can tell me what they think this answer is? What does the word latest mean in this sentence? Kimmy, what do you think?
I think it is age most recent.
Good girl. The answer here is most recent. If something is the latest, it's the most relevant and the most recent. It has just come out. So for example, some of you guys might say, ooh, I really want to go and get the latest video game this weekend. That means a video game that has just come out. It's recently come out. So it's not the oldest, it's not the longest, and it's not the most famous. I know that many people chose most famous because I think that with context clues, maybe you thought because the crowd are applauding again. Now, the crowd are applauding because Miss Black is a famous author. Everyone is settling in to listen to her latest book. This is quite a common thing for authors to do. Often authors go on something called a book tour. So when an author creates a new book, usually they will go on a tour around a country and go to different cities and sign their new book and do a reading of their newest book. So here we could have used some of our knowledge from our own brain, as well as using text evidence, the knowledge of when an author goes around to read their latest books. They don't read their most famous books, they read their latest books and their most recent books that come out. Okay, next we have to read to answer these questions. So we had some problems with this text. It was the running fathers. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to share the test screen so we can have a look. So the running fathers. Okay, have a look here, guys. Number 7, why did the Raramuri move deeper into the Copper Canyon? So at the beginning of the text, we learn about this. Why did the Raramuri move deeper into the Copper Canyon? They did not know where else to live. They did not want to be around other people. They saw how beautiful the canyon was, or they knew it would be easy to grow crops there. Let's go back to the text. I can share my screen with you because no hands are being raised. Okay, have a look here. The answer can be found in this paragraph. What do we think? Okay, Rosie, what do you think?
Can you go back to the question so I can read the answer first?
Mhm.
Oh, I think the answer is B. They did
Good
not
job.
want other people around.
Good job. Perfect answer, Rosie. It lets us know in the second paragraph that the Raramuri moved deeper into the canyon because they didn't want to be around other people. Another group of settlers moved into where they were, and they didn't like being around others. So they moved deeper and deeper into the canyon so that they could isolate themselves and be alone with their community. Good job. Next, have a look here. Quite a lot of people tripped over this one. So read this sentence from the article. They seem to run non-stop. What does the word non-stop mean in the sentence above? Stop again, unable to stop, before stopping, or without stopping. What do we think here? Kimmy, what do you think?
I think it is D, without stopping.
Good girl, well done. The answer I was looking for here is without stopping. Quite a lot of people, I think, chose B, which is unable to stop. Now it says that they seem to run without stopping. So what this means is they're running everywhere and it feels like they never need to take a break. But it doesn't mean that they seem to run without being able to stop. They are more than capable of stopping. It's just that they don't need to. They are so fit and so used to running everywhere that they can run without needing to take a break. So here the answer that we're looking for is without stopping. They seem to run nonstop. Okay, next question for this article. What is the main reason the author wrote this article? So here we're looking at author's purpose. Was it to give information about the Raramuri Indians, to tell a story about a Raramuri Indian who won a race, to describe the difficulty of farming near Copper Canyon, or to show that Copper Canyon is bigger than the Grand Canyon? So we need to think about the main idea in this text and what we can really focus on in this text. So if we quickly skim through this text, you will notice that this text is predominantly about what?
I think that the main reason that the author wrote this article is that to give information about the Ramuri Indians.
Good girl, well done. The author's main purpose for this text was to give information about the Raramuri Indians. I know this because when I read the text, the information that I'm getting is all about the Raramuri Indians. There are 4 paragraphs worth of information about them. It tells me a little bit about how difficult it is to farm near Copper Canyon, so I know it's not really about this. It tells me one sentence about how Copper Canyon is bigger than Grand Canyon, so I know it can't be about this. And there isn't really a story or an entertaining narrative story about one Raramuri Indian who won a race, so I know it's to give information about the Indians. Okay, this next part was probably the part where most people fell down on. So this is why I've given you a reading comprehension for homework tonight. So Come On Raj was a story about a dog and its owner. Let's have a look on page 152. So we had a story called Come On Raj, and we had another story straight after it called That Time Again. Same characters and same kind of setting. So we had to read both of these stories and then answer questions about it. And I think the majority of questions in this section we found difficult. So have a look here. Which of the following most motivates Raj to jump into the water in Come On Raj? So this question is asking which of the following most encourages him to jump into the water. So the story is mainly about Raj not being able to jump in the water because his paws are saying, no siree, we're staying here. But what is it that encourages him the most to actually get into the water? Is it A, the hot sun and the prospect of cooling off in the water? B, his favorite toy that Neela is waving at him? C, Neela calling Raj to join her? Or is it D, the idea of not being able to have fun with Neela when summer ends? Now, all of these are encouraging to him to jump in the water. However, after 3 of these things happen, he does not jump in. But after one thing happens, he decides, I must jump into the water. What is the one thing that encourages him the most out of these options?
Yeah, call it to Raj to join her.
Not quite. So again, that does happen in this story. Neela calls to Raj, but still he does not jump in the water. So even though that is kind of encouraging to him, it's not the reason that he jumps in the water. Any other ideas? What do you think, Pat?
I think it is D, the idea of not being able to have fun with Neela when summer ends.
Good job. This is the answer they're looking for. So all of these first things, the hot sun, the refreshing lake, his favorite ball, and Neela calling to him, they're all encouraging him. But still, if you read the story, he stays put. It's when Raj thinks, oh no, it is August, that means it's September soon, and that's when Neela will go back to school. And instead of jumping in the lake with her in the morning, instead she'll go off to school on the yellow monster, and she'll never come back until the afternoon. It's this thought that he has that makes him realize, if I don't jump in the lake now, I'm just wasting my days with her. So this is the answer that we were looking for. All three of these things happen, but they're not the most encouraging or the most motivating. This thought of not being able to have fun when summer ends is the thing that makes Raj jump into the lake. Okay, number 14. How does the illustration in Come On Raj help you understand Raj's character? F. It shows why he is nervous about jumping in the water. It shows how much he does not want to disappoint Neela. It shows how happy he is when he finally jumps into the lake. Or I. It shows how much Raj doesn't want Neela to go back to school. Let's go and look at the illustration, shall we? And have a look. What do you think? Have a look at this picture. I can see a brown, well, looks like a black, but he's brown and spotted dog smiling in the river. So what do you think? What do you think this illustration helps us know? It's a brown and white spotted dog in the river, or in the lake, sorry, with a big smile on his face. What do you think this illustration shows us? If a character has a big smile on their face, how do you think they're feeling?
I think that is show why he's nervous about jumping in the water.
Not quite. So it doesn't show why.
Oh no. Okay,
It's
okay, I know it.
You know it? You know what the answer is?
Yeah, I think it show how much didn't want Neela to go back to school.
No, not quite. So have a look at the picture again, guys. I'll show you again. So this illustration is showing a dog that looks happy in the water. So what do we think the answer might be for this one?
I think it shows how much. Oh no! It shows how happy he is when he finally jumps into the lake.
Correct. It shows how happy he is when he finally jumps into the lake. So it doesn't show us why he is nervous, because the picture doesn't show him looking nervous, and it doesn't show him not being in the water. G, it shows us how much he does not want to disappoint Neela. Again, the illustration shows a very happy dog in the water. So this is letting us know that he's happy when he's finally overcame his fear. So it's not G. And I, it shows how much Raj doesn't want Neela to go back to school. So again, it doesn't show us his face looking sad or worried about her going back to school. So it's not I. Instead, it shows us how happy he is when he finally jumps into the lake and he's overcome his fear and he's getting to spend the day with his owner and his best friend. Okay, moving on to the next one. Number 15, read the sentence from the story, That Time Again. Instead of finding Neela on her bed, however, Raj found her scurrying around her room. Why does the author use the word scurrying instead of moving? Scurrying is a synonym for moving, but it's slightly different. If you're scurrying around, you're moving very quickly and you're moving a bit frantically. Why do you think the author uses the word scurrying instead of moving? In this story, That Time Again, it's Neela's first day of school. So she's up and around and she's scurrying around her room. What do you think, Lily?
To show how busy Neela is.
Good girl, well done. The author has used the word scurrying to show the character's feelings. Instead of saying Neela is very busy, they're saying Neela is scurrying around her room. She's frantically running around trying to find her homework and her school bag and her pencil case to prepare everything for her first day of school. Okay, what happens right after Neela leaves the house for the first time in That Time Again? So I'm going to go to That Time Again and have a look. Okay, so have a look here. So, Raj, I know you hate this time of year. I promise it won't be so bad. Just think about the nice long nap you can have after I leave in the morning. When I get home in the afternoon, you'll be ready to play. Neela patted Raj's head, but Raj didn't feel any better. When Neela began chattering about all of the changes third grade would bring, Raj felt even worse. Surely Neela would make all sorts of new friends and forget all about him. The next morning, Raj dragged himself downstairs with Neela. He sat next to her as she ate her cereal. He watched her sadly as she rifled through her backpack to make sure she had all of her supplies. Then, Neela kissed her mother's cheek and headed for the door. She called, "Bye, Mom. I don't want to miss the bus on the first day." Raj's worst fear had come true. In her rush to get to school, Neela had already forgotten about him. Raj hung his head. He had never felt more lonesome in his whole life. Raj retreated to a patch of sunshine under the living room window. He shrunk down in the warm spot, but even the sunshine couldn't cheer him up. Okay, so have a look back at the question. What happens right after Neela leaves the house for the first time in that time again? So what happened right after Neela left the house? Does Raj go downstairs? Does Neela's mom pat Raj? Does Raj feel sad and lonesome? Or does Raj yawn and go to sleep? What just happened? So Neela has rushed out of the house. She forgot to pat him. She forgot to say bye to him, and that makes him feel a certain way. So what happens right after she leaves the house?
I think it's H.
Good
Raj-
girl.
A long time.
Good job. The answer is H. It tells us right there in the text. When Neela leaves the house, Raj's worst nightmare has come true, and it says that he had never felt more lonesome and sad in his life. So right after she leaves the house for the first time, he feels sad and lonesome. Okay, guys, so we've run out of time for today, so I'm going to show you what I want you to do for homework tonight. Because there were some issues or problems with the reading comprehension, I've decided to ask you guys to do another reading comprehension question sheet for homework. Okay, guys, have a wonderful day for the rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.